Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in cutting out Final Fantasy podcasts. I am your host, Kaleb.
I'm Joe.
And it's weird because we totally introed the thing we already did.
We do that every time.
Have not heard yet.
We do that every time. We've done that when we start the review. We still feel like we have to intro fully, but then we know we're going to come back in and do a real intro later.
Yeah, so double the intro. That's how ultimate it is, the ultimate intro podcast.
So today is a Patreon episode. We're going to be interviewing James. He was a very nice interview, and we talked about Final Fantasy, and it was great. So hope you guys stay tuned for that. But real quick, you can find the show at ultimatefinalfantasy.com. If you want to support the show, you can do so like James by going to patreon.com/ultimatefinalfantasy or clicking through our link on our site. You can also click through our Amazon link there, and you can, if you want, you can give us a PayPal donation as well. And that all helps the show. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGolier.
Me at UFF Podcast.
And you can find the show streaming live when we don't have an interview episode, because we don't like to stream when we have the interview, so we can talk off air a little bit. The interview besides those, most of our episodes live stream at Ultima Final Fantasy, or twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can also see me play Final Fantasy Tactics throughout the week. I'm trying to do 2 hours a day, with the exception of the day that we do podcasts. I've not been doing that well this week, but I was on there for a few days doing 2 hours a day in Final Fantasy Tactics. Where are you in FF Tactics?
I beat the game still.
Oh, okay,
I haven't
all right.
unbeaten it quite yet.
That's good.
I haven't gone back in either. I have been playing some FF12 Zodiac Age the last couple weeks, much to my girlfriend's dismay. I get very involved.
Doesn't have a game to play in yet.
When I do. See, that's the problem is I'm trying to do this hog competition in Nude Clan where we beat as many
announce it.
Where we beat as many games as possible.
You gotta come up and surprise Craig.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, you can't?
No, he told me how many he has this week, and it's more than me. Oh. But we're trying to beat as many games as we can, but I am honor bound to try to get all the damn trophies in all these Final Fantasy games, so I'm grinding in Final Fantasy 12.
Except for 10.
Well, I got 10.
10-2.
Yeah, 10-2 is no, not yet. One day. I don't want to do it yet, though. I'm trying to, get the platinums through these games because they're awesome, and I feel like I need to. I feel honor bound to do it. So that's like my big inner battle is do I keep playing 12 until I 100% it, or do I move on to something that I haven't beaten this year? So I did get a couple of the trophies. I got the one for beating all of the summons. I went through the Great Crystal and I grabbed. This is one of the most pain in the ass parts of FF12 Zodiac Age is you don't buy all the spells. Some of them you have to find. And some of them you have to find in the Great Crystal with very specific paths you have to walk. And that area, I do not like that area in that game. I am semi-directionally challenged, and it's
only
worse.
Semi-directionally challenged?
I'm not as bad. I am the second best at navigating in Nude Clan. Easily.
Okay.
Very easily. But yes.
You are correct, yes. I guess because you have a person who has only driven like 3 times in his life.
Yeah.
And then a person who, ever since he was born, had Google Maps installed and does not look around him at all.
No, not aware of his surroundings.
And then there's you.
In the slightest.
And then there's you, who is below average.
Probably.
Of adults who have to live and be able to figure out where they are in a city with only 2 main streets on it. Or in a game with a map that's directional.
But the problem with that one is the map is directional, but you don't actually get a map in the Great Crystal at all. Yeah. It's just
you
just have to remember where you backtrack.
You have to actually look and see where you're at and pay attention.
Yeah. And it's not that bad. It's just when I get attacked, like I get kind of turned around sometimes because the camera will move around. But I got those. There were 2 spells in there. It was Hasteга, and I think I can't remember what the other one is, but I was in there for like an hour, and I've been cleaning up all the trophies. I have the one for the Bestiary, the one for Yaizamat, and the one for the Trial left, and the one for discovering all the points on the map, but I think I know where I need to go for that. It's the area that you unlock in the city with the chops. I can't remember what the name of that city is right now. it's like a secret map that you unlock when you get all of them. And I hate the chops, but I did them, so I could do it.
Is it unfair that I learned how to find directions by stalking a girl in middle school? I learned how to figure out directions on my bike, like streets, and then I was taught orienteering in Boy Scouts. I taught orienteering as a leader in Boy Scouts later on. And then my dad was also in Special Forces and talked about reconnaissance every time we were in the mountains. I swear that is my dad's favorite subject, is reconnaissance and direction finding during his training in Special Forces. Is it maybe unfair? Are you like a normal person and I just don't know it?
Maybe, but which side? So are the evens on your left or your right when you're going towards the main street?
Towards the main, on which side? Are you going north to south or south to?
You're going towards the main street.
It depends on your direction.
Well, whether you're going towards center or main, it's the same. They're always on your right if you're going towards. If you're going away, they're going to be on your left.
I just look on which side it's on because one side will always be even, one side will always be on.
I guess if you can see it, yeah. The problem for me is I'm blind.
Oh, okay, and then you're
so
blind.
like I had to know that. I had to know that it's always on one side or the other.
Okay,
and I'd be like, okay, I'm about halfway through the block, so it should be right there.
Yeah. I never figured that part out.
But yeah, not the best. So
I can look at a map, find north, and know where I am based upon what's around me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working on that, but I still have...
Which is pretty basic, to be honest.
It is. It's not that hard. And I do like using compasses. I just don't use one because I have a fucking GPS. Technology is so much easier.
Use compasses, count your paces. There's a whole bunch of stuff with that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between magnetic north and what's north on a... latitude, longitude north.
Yeah, true north.
True north.
Yeah. But yeah, the game, I still probably have like 10 or 12 hours, I bet, of grind, because the beast area is just crazy. Like, there are so many enemies that I have to find. And I have so many rare game left. Like, it was kind of a sad run for me. I didn't really run into that many of them. And I remembered, like, oh, yeah, this guy's over here. And it's like, oh, well, this guy doesn't want to show up right now, so I guess I'm going to fucking leave, because... The game gave me ×4 speed, and I wasn't inclined to not use that ×4 speed, and that meant burn through the game as quick as possible. So I still got a ways to go. But what about you with FF Tactics? I heard some pain.
Oh, so much pain. I was having trouble with some boss fight. Then I have another one, and this one brought out the time mages. And a bunch of knights, and then a main baddie that I'm fighting, whose name...
Gafgarian?
Gafgarian, yeah.
That's the fight that I lost my time mage on. I was so mad.
Gafgarian, dude, he is brutal.
Are you in the one where you're just on a field and like there are time mages on the roofs and shit?
Yes. So okay, they fake the hanging of the princess.
Oh yeah, on that little stand.
And you come in and you see what's going on, and some other people on Twitter also said that it was a brutal fight. I have found out, yes, in fact, that it is a brutal fight. I have some ideas of what I'm going to do next to like try to figure out how to take care of him. Unfortunately, my guys split up. Time Mages froze some people that really needed to not be frozen, and I went down, and I had played for 51 minutes.
In that one fight?
In that one fight. And my guys just slowly were picked off.
Wow.
And they heal each other on the enemy team in that specific fight. So if I got a guy down, he would eventually heal himself. Then my guy would be stopped from raising the other guy who just got killed. And eventually my guys were spread out, and it just turned into a slow... It was the Vietnam War. It was bad. It was like we're slowly losing until it's just done. We have to get out. It's awful. And so that was my quitting to the main screen moment. Actually, you know what? I didn't even quit. I said, I don't care. I've been at this for 40-something minutes, and I'm just going to go until my guys all die. And then I quit the game. And I'm supposed to stream for 2 hours, but knowing that was the next fight I was on, and I had already played for an hour and a half. I beat a fight that I had lost 30 minutes on the day before.
Right, of course.
And then had to go into a fight. I beat that fight and then in 30 minutes and then had the 1 hour fight. And I said, I'm not going to do this today. Not going to do it. And then I didn't want to do it yesterday, so I didn't play Tactics yesterday. I will play 4 hours of it on Monday, I promise. So if you want to see me in pain, that would be a good place to go. Twitch.tv/Ultimate Final Fantasy. Gafgarian the fight is sick. It's a sick fight. You lost your time mage. I didn't want to lose anybody.
I didn't realize I lost her is the problem. I totally forgot. And then I got out and I got into the next fight. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I was like, oh shit. My time mage is gone. And I was like looking through and I was like, oh man. And then I asked the Twitch chat, I'm like, did I let her die? And someone's like, yeah, man, you let her die. And I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? You gotta tell me. Like, don't let me let her die. I don't want her to die. I spent so much time.
I almost did the same thing on the fight before. I lost someone and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Until near the end when I was like, where's that body?
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then I had to use Mustadio, and the game has like a large veiny boner for this guy, and it just hates him, and they kill him instantly. And I'm like, God.
As opposed to a regular boner.
Yeah, a regular, not life-threatening boner. This one is one that lasted longer than 4 hours, so you gotta call a doctor. It was sick, dude. I have there's no other way to describe what happened to that man. The game just was like, this guy's tied to all the side quests. They start cracking all their knuckles. We're gonna kick his ass. You think you're fancy with your little gun, huh? Yeah, it was bad, dude. The next fight, I think the next one, the one after, is the one I got stuck on for a while.
That's not good.
No, I didn't.
That's not good to hear.
I didn't lose. I don't think I lost in that fight that you're on, but I did lose a person. So in a way, I probably kind of lost because it was important for her to not die. But
I also keep calling my white mage a her, and it is not a her.
It's a dude.
But it's a white mage, so in my mind, it's a her always.
Well, in the game is kind of sexist that way. The girls do have better faith, so they are better at mage work than the guys.
Okay.
So it makes sense. I think mine, you know what? I don't remember. I think mine was a girl, actually. Yeah, because the dude that was a knight was stronger. And that's why I made it her, the black/time mage. She was fucking sick. When I got Flare, I one-shot one of the bosses. Just like one shot. I took like 3 steps forward, had it on him. I had like an 80% chance to hit, and then just boom.
I think my new strategy is going to be just rush Gafgarian himself, because he's the one that does the most damaging damage, since he can be far away and do a lot. There's no mages that do damage in that part. They're all knights and archers don't do that much damage at all. They're annoying, but they don't do a ton of damage at this point in the game. So it's really just him. It's him doing like the disgusting stuff, and then the knight's coming up and like stabbing you in the back after
and breaking all of your shit. Oh my god, dude, I get so mad. That is the one thing that just triggers me to no end in Tactics. I'm like, I just bought that fucking gold helmet and you just broke it. Like, why? What the fuck is wrong with you? You're sick. You're wrong. Why are you breaking all my shit?
Do you think the audience hasn't noticed that I haven't said the F word for 2 episodes?
I don't know.
Actually, 3 episodes almost.
Maybe.
I think I slipped once, but I think that was it.
Yeah, you got your little swear jar thing.
Yeah, not at all during this episode. I didn't swear at all.
Good job.
Yeah. Did you notice?
No, I didn't.
See? Doesn't matter.
Well, now I did, and
nobody
now it
cares.
does matter.
It does matter. See the F word,
Now we care even less. It's a problem.
I think I owe, like, it's not cheap. I owe some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I owe like $10 right now for swears. It's $25, 25 cents an F word.
Oh, wow.
For my swear jar app. And I'm going to be giving that to a charity. I haven't figured out which one at the end of the year. I'm going to be doing that. But anyway, guys, we got a great interview with James. And so we're going to reintroduce ourselves.
Yes. Enjoy it.
Yes.
Welcome to another Patreon invite episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate, of course, in Final Fantasy podcasting. I am your host, Kaleb.
I am Joe.
We also have here Reathomus. Say hello.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Are we going with Reathomus or are we going with his first name?
You can call me James.
James.
Oh,
okay, James is going to be a lot easier.
I guess
for me.
James is not identifying quite enough to make stalkers out of you.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I hear there are a fair number of Jameses out there. So.
Yeah, there are at least three that I know of.
All right. So James, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you? Well, first, where are you from?
So I was born in China, but I actually grew up in Australia, and I've worked in a few places. But I'm currently working in Hong Kong.
Currently working in Hong Kong. You cool with telling us what you do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a lawyer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, I deal with basically financial products. So my main clients tend to be financial institutions.
All right. And so so born in China, grew up in Australia, worked in a few places, currently working in Hong Kong. What part does Final Fantasy play in your life?
So I think I started playing Final Fantasy when my parents migrated to Australia. So at first I didn't speak the language, so there wasn't much I can do. So I started playing a few games, and actually the first Final Fantasy game I played was Final Fantasy Legend 3.
Oh wow! Okay, which isn't really a Final Fantasy game, isn't that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. In English, it's got Final Fantasy in it, so but I guess it's not something for the show, but it does have the name Final Fantasy.
Okay, tell us about Final Fantasy Legend 3, because I don't know anything about that game. Except
actually,
that
I don't remember
that
much about the game either. I had to look up which game it was, so it's been a while, but it's a Game Boy game, it's in black and white. I think the battle interface is kind of like the Dragon Quest style, where it's first-person view, so you see monsters in front of you.
Right. So
turn-based.
If people don't know, Final Fantasy is, of course, a side view in the old-school Final Fantasies where your battle is taking place, RPG battle. Dragon Quest, it is the character's point of view towards the monster, and you still kind of have the same, or nearly the same menu sort of on the bottom.
That was a big thing until Final Fantasy came along. Yeah. It was mostly first person,
yeah. So did your Final Fantasy love start with Legend, or was that just your first foray?
No, I think that was my first foray. So I really started to get into the series by playing a lot of the Super Nintendo games. So I think I was very into JRPGs, and there are a lot of good JRPGs during the Super Nintendo era. And so I basically got into the series through Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. Also around the time, actually, Final Fantasy VII came out, so it was a really big thing at the time in school, although I didn't play it at the time. I'm kind of like you, Joe, in the sense that I actually didn't get my first game console until I was 18 years old. So, sorry to say, actually, most of the early days were basically emulators. So I was always one generation behind because it takes a while for computers to catch up to the console to be able to emulate them.
It does sometimes. I was always a console behind, so I wasn't allowed to have video games. I could have computer games, which is weird, but I wasn't allowed to have video games until I was 15, and I was only willing to mow enough lawns to get the PS1. And that was when PS2 was at its heyday and almost on the way out. So it was like, okay, now I gotta save up. Now I was always one generation behind until like the end of the PS3 era. So you were playing emulated Super NES games at the time, is that right?
Yeah, okay. That's right. So it started with 4, then 5, then 6. Okay. And there was also a lot of other games in between as well.
What other games?
Actually, I think I must have played, I think probably 80-90% of the JRPGs for the system that are available in English.
Oh, wow.
So pretty much all of them. So like, the big ones you guys know, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, that kind of things. But there are some you probably haven't heard of. I basically played almost all of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So not only am I more cultured in JRPGs, I am also smarter as a lawyer. Checkmate.
I've worked with a lot of lawyers, and a lot of them are not smart. So that's
okay.
a given.
And you're bilingual, is what I'm assuming here.
Yeah, I am.
Nice. Were the games hard to get into? Like, how long did it take you? How old were you when you moved to Australia? Just wondering.
10.
10. Okay.
Okay, and I know you said that you didn't know the language at the time. I mean, how did you slog through some of these JRPGs without understanding? Like, were you able to emulate them in your native language, or was it just
No, I
memorize?
emulated them in English. So, to be honest, it doesn't take much to play some of the earlier JRPGs, and I picked up the language pretty quickly because you're immersed in the environment. So
right.
within a year or two, I had a fairly okay reading level in terms of English, so you can play games more than easily enough.
That's fair enough, actually. Yeah, especially when it's like
when I was 10, he wasn't 20.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
you do learn.
It's supposed to be easier to learn a second language at a younger age. So that kind of that does make sense. So okay, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 was a big deal at school. But how long until you played 7? I assume you have.
It was years later. I don't even remember actually. I think I got a PC copy. Mm-hmm. I managed to play, and I actually didn't even finish 7. So I basically got up all the way up to the last dungeon. I trained out my golden chocobo, got knights around. Then because I am quite a completionist, I was going around trying to get all the master materials, but I think I got bored after a certain point, and I just never finished it.
I can imagine that. I think that has to take all the 5-star grinding, is that right, to get all those things?
Yeah. I think you have to grind those things in the last dungeon that look like little balls that give you a lot of...
I saw Twice doing a lot of that.
The movers, what they're called.
Yeah, that's it.
God. They don't show up very often.
So you were right at the end. You never chose to finish it. I guess Schweiss core is the way to go. No joke core.
Yeah. Actually, I am quite a completionist. I was going to say I'm probably the opposite of Joe Core. So I've gotten platinums for all the Final Fantasy games that have platinums on them, I think, except for 7 and 9.
Okay, 7 and 9. I was about to say, did you get the platinum for 9 already? Did you do the jump rope?
No, actually, I'm not that big fan of 9, actually. So I'm not sure if I get that. I did get it for Zodiac Age, but not 9.
Oh, wow.
All right, we can go through some of the main series games in a second. Sorry, go ahead, Schweiss.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying to do the dungeon mode in Zodiac Age, and I am on in the 90s, and it is not easy. I'm out of items and shit, so I'm just in there hoping that I don't get killed. And I think the only thing that's going to keep me alive is the reverse decoy strategy, where I just have one guy that gets hit, gets healed when he gets hit, and no one else gets touched.
Did you get all the end game equipment? Because I think it was fairly easy until probably the last level, and the transition between 99 and 100 you got to manage a bit. But otherwise, I found it to be okay.
Well, I don't have the end game stuff. I know there's a lot of loot you can steal in the dungeon, but I haven't looked up a guide on that yet. I know I'm supposed to steal from someone in the level 40. I think it might be Belias or somebody around there that has this shield that's supposed to absorb all the elements or something like that. Someone said I needed that.
Yeah, you need it. That's gotten in the area where you fight Ultima, but you need to do some probably RNG manipulation. It's almost like cheating actually to get that shield.
Yeah, I tried to do the bow in the game on the airship, but I couldn't get it to pop.
I got 3 of those, but I never used it because it made the game way too easy.
No such thing.
No, it's like there was this one enemy which I popped 1.5 million damage on with the bow, so it's ridiculous.
What? Oh my god!
1.5 million? How much is how much is the big baddie with the whole bunch of
50 million.
50? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't do 50 million on Yes map, but if you find someone who's weak to fire, and you sleep them and you put oil on them, and if your max level was max strength, and if you manage to crit them, you can do 1.5 million on them.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane. Okay, all right. Let's go through the games. I want to know, out of the main series, and then if you want to talk about spin-offs, we can. Out of the main series, kind of what you've played and what you've beaten. 1, 2, and 3. Kind of your thoughts on those 3 games.
I actually only played 3.
Only played 3.
Okay. On the Game Boy Advance. So.
Whoa! You played 3 on the Game Boy Advance. Okay, yeah. What version of?
Sorry, was it Game Boy on the DS?
On the DS. Okay. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know what version that is. It's crazy.
Did you get an import? Like.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there might be different.
I remember it was a handheld.
There, but, okay, so you played 3 on the DS. Did you beat it?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think of that one?
To be honest, I don't. I played it in the last 5 years, and I don't remember the plot at all.
And neither do we.
And to be honest, all I remember from it is a bit of the class system and the post-game dungeon. And that's only because I spent a lot of time just killing the dragons over and over again. So it was actually pretty. What I do remember of it wasn't that exciting. Actually, it was just a lot of post-game grinding.
All right, I can understand that for FF3. Okay, you started with 4. You said FF4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expound on that.
Yeah, FF4 actually I have fairly fond memories of because. It was actually a fairly interesting way they had the story plot structured. It was a little bit different in not the usual way where, the character you start off with is level 1 and he's not very good and can't do much. It's like, so you start with the Dark Knight and it's almost like you're halfway into the story, and the bit where he transforms into the Paladin was actually quite interesting. So, I mean, by that stage, I've already played a lot of JRPGs, but usually they're fairly formulaic, and actually FF4 was quite different.
FF4, okay. Okay, so the only JRPGs from the Super NES era that I've ever played have been the Final Fantasy. Still haven't played Chrono Trigger. We'll get to it at some point, I'm sure. So I do wonder, like, formulaic, it was just regular hero's journey type
pretty much,
and a bunch of teenagers taking on the big baddie. That's what I'm assuming the kind of cliche is. So the interesting is you start with a guy who's already got like a big past behind him, and then he has like a complete 180 1/3 of the way through the story, which is probably one of the better parts of FF4, and probably one of the most memorable parts of the entire series is that switch to the Paladin, and then the moon.
Yeah.
Okay. So you played 5 on an emulator as well?
Yep.
Okay. So did you play like an English fan translation of 5 back then?
No, I played the English version. I think.
I'm not sure if that was available.
Maybe it was a fan translation.
I think it was a fan translation because
I think it took until the PlayStation 1 version of FF5 to have a real translation.
I'll ask it. Do you remember if his name was Butts or Bartz?
To be honest, I don't remember.
Okay.
It was such a long time ago. Almost 20 years ago now.
Oh, yeah. I can remember in the fan translation emulated version of the game, they went with Butts. They straight up went with Butts, which is funny. and then they put Bart's in the PS1 version. So that's how you know when you're getting an emulated version of FF5 whether or not it's the fan translated version, which is better in my opinion, or if it's the official translated version.
Yeah. How did you feel coming off of the coattails of 4? I mean, you just barely finished what you said was a big game changer in the JRPG genre, where it wasn't the same formulaic story, the same thing over and over again that you've played, time after time. Like, what did you think of 5 after Final Fantasy IV? Because, I mean, for Joe and I, we were, like, delightfully surprised at 5 because we had heard that 5 is... A lot of people didn't like 5, but then...
We had heard the gameplay was good, the story was bad.
Yeah, and, like, the story to us wasn't the best, but I think it picked up a lot near the end. But I mean, how did you feel initially when you jumped into the 5th entry in the series?
To be honest, I probably agree. Like, I don't remember much of 5's story at all, but I can still tell you a lot of detail about the job system.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think pretty much what other people are saying is kind of correct to me. Story was kind of forgettable at this stage, but the job system was pretty good.
Okay. And what about 6?
I think 6 was, for a long time, I thought 6 was the best Final Fantasy ever. I think it was like after 5, 6 just felt so much better in every single way. So the plot was better. The gameplay was very, very good. And even the graphics, for Super Nintendo, the graphics were amazing compared to 5, which I think from my memory it was quite dull, whereas I think even the colors are brighter in 6, and it was just much better.
Yeah, I think me and Schweiss can concur on that. 6's look, I mean, they changed the sprites, and that's the most obvious thing. They changed the size of the sprites, but just overall, the color palette is much wider in 6. The design, in my opinion, is way more interesting. And 5 basically looked like FF4, and they were both. I mean, they're fine-looking games for a Super NES game, but they don't have the vividness of FF6.
Yeah, nothing comes close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the battle system in 6 was really well done, because I think in a way it was an extension of 4 in the sense that every character you get start out with specific things they can do. So, but there was a lot more variety in terms of different classes essentially. But like each character could do something different. But then there was also an element that you're seeing later Final Fantasies where you get to near the end game and everyone's kind of abilities start to converge and they all kind of do the same thing when they become like godlike in terms of just, either learning Ultima or just hitting people 8 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Ito does really well, I think, is really dives deep into the ability grinding in these Final Fantasies. I mean, you have with FF6, like you were saying, you equip the summons and each character can learn Ultima or whatever the big beefy spell at the time is, and I don't know, there was just something about that made the game really exciting. Like, okay, yeah, this guy attacks with either his giant Rottweiler or his ninja swords, but I can also cast Ultima and do a shit ton of damage with, everybody in the team, kind of a thing. And that's, I don't know, that made grinding in 6 really fun for me. Like, it was more of I really need to get this ability on everybody, so let's swap the summons around to unlock it so that I can see just how powerful each person can become, even if they, even if they're normally just a white mage, they can still pound out these mega spells, kind of a thing. And it was, I don't know, it was really intuitive. So,
yeah. And the system made the grinding quite rewarding because, you do become very, very powerful near the end because you can do dual magic. You cast Quick the first time, Ultimate the second time, then you do it again over and over again. And it's just, so you pretty much continue your turn. So you can become really powerful.
Yeah, you can become really powerful unless you're really bad at the game, in which case, the first time I played the game, I remember the final boss being very difficult, but I was playing it on an emulator, so I would just save state whatever, section of the boss I was on until I got done with it. So you said 6 was the best for a long time, so I'm going to put a pin in that. Let's talk about FF, the PlayStation era. How do you feel about the PlayStation era games 7, 8, and 9?
Actually, I didn't play much of the PlayStation era FFs until much later down the line.
Okay, was it overhyped, or did it deliver?
I think 7 was quite good, but I'm gonna have to disagree with a lot of the audience on the show. I don't think 9 was that good, to be honest.
Why do you say that?
I think 9's overhyped as far as the audiences of Ultimate Final Fantasy is concerned.
A very specific
FF audience who loves FF9. That is true. So what do you think about 9 then? Why do you think it's overhyped?
I mean, I think 9's got a lot of nostalgic factor, but I think the thing I like the most about the Final Fantasy series is there's always a lot of innovation, and they always try new things, and most of the time it works out. I mean, in terms of 9, I really didn't see much in terms of innovation. The battle system was really slow. The plot was okay, I guess, but it wasn't a bad game or anything. But I don't think it's anywhere near the best game of the series.
Okay, I can see that. I think a lot of people maybe look at that game as like the best of. It's just sort of like a greatest hits album for the Final Fantasy series. And maybe that is what you like. Maybe you just like the hits. But you're saying you like innovation, that it's moving forward, and I guess 9 sort of is a stale moment. It could be seen that way, I guess, and then just kind of normal. Normal FF.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it didn't stand out much.
Didn't stand out. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. What did you play 8?
I did.
You did. Okay.
I actually 8. I also didn't finish 8. I actually stopped quite early on. I just didn't like the plot wasn't that intriguing to me, especially near the beginning where you are just doing missions for the school. So I really didn't get into it. And also, I think the way you become more powerful in 8 basically just involves you keep drawing spells, and I was doing that for a while, but it got boring pretty quickly, so I kind of just didn't finish it.
I think in junior high I would have disagreed with you, but now I totally agree with you. That beginning section of 8 is rough, especially if you played this game later on. FF8, I think in order to enjoy FF8, you have to play it earlier. Like, you have to play it at a younger age in order to, you got to fall in love with Rinoa, and you got to have not seen this type of game before, like I didn't. And then you'll probably appreciate 8 more. But if you've gone through and then you look back at FF8 as a more mature person, it just does not hold up in many respects. At least that's my opinion.
I also didn't care for the card game. I think as far as mini games in the series concerned, the card game was not that great.
And it's evil, by the way. If you're trying to grind things through the cards, because in order to get spells, a lot of spells without drawing, you got to play the card game. And if you get deep into that card game, it can get real rough. So it's not even that rewarding, in my opinion, although I'm sure there are so many people who disagree with me on that. Did you ever hear the song Eyes on Me?
I don't think so.
Okay, we talk about it all the time.
No,
it's
you
terrible.
do. Actually, I've heard it usually when you sing a few verses of it. So if it's anywhere like the actual song, then I have to agree with you. It's not very good. At least your rendition of it.
Oh, yeah, okay. What was that? Was that last week or the week before? I'm trying to remember when we put that thing out. But after the credits of the show, I sang over the originals. That was the song. That was the song and me singing terribly over it. It's a terrible song. It is just like that, basically. All right. PS2 era.
Yeah, so PS2 era, Final Fantasy X was actually the first Final Fantasy game I actually bought, funnily enough.
Okay.
And when I bought it, I actually didn't have a PlayStation 2. So I had to borrow my cousin's PlayStation to actually play it.
So you were... What made you excited to play 10? What made you want to buy 10, even though you didn't have the system?
Because, well, I was very much into the Final Fantasy series, and I heard a big new Final Fantasy came out, so I really wanted to play it. And I thought paying 100 Australian dollars to get the game was worth it. Whereas, I didn't have the money yet to buy the console, and even if I did, my parents wouldn't have let me kept it. So I borrowed it from my cousin, basically.
Oh, nice. All right. I did something similar. I bought FF13 without having a PS3, and I went and used my brother-in-law's PS3 for a couple days to play a few hours of it.
Yeah, I actually I went to the store, I bought a TV, and I bought a PS3 solely so I can just play Final Fantasy 13.
Okay, so that was a little later on.
Yeah. So
You had a little more freedom.
there was a little bit more resources at my disposal.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so did 10 live up to your expectations, or?
Yeah, so I think, unlike Caleb Craig, I actually really like 10. So that is my favorite Final
Caleb
Fantasy.
Craig is just wrong. Is the issue there? He's just absolutely 100% wrong.
Yeah.
10 is great. The storytelling in 10, I really love. Craig complained about the music to me the other day. Like the music, I love the music in FF10. And the battle system is really smooth and I think really does the game well. It may not be as innovative as some of the other battle systems in the series, but I think it's a really good, fast system. So how many times have you just played 10 the one time through? Did you completionist it?
I've completionist it 3 times.
3 times. Oh, nice.
God.
Yeah, it's actually the sphere grid is like, heaven for someone with OCD because you can just fill that entire thing. And
and be satisfied.
Be satisfied. So I beat Penance 3 times as well.
Oh, wow. I killed him with Yojimbo, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I did not. It took me a whole hour to do it. Actually, the first time I didn't. So my dad promised to return the PlayStation that day. And so he was like agitating for me to be finished with the game. And I was just like sitting there beating Penance because it takes like an hour to beat him properly. So it was like basically I was just on the fly trying to beat that game before I had to return the PlayStation.
Oh, wow. That sounds stressful.
Yeah, it was actually. I died the first time around 30 minutes in because I didn't kill one of the hands quick enough. So he basically did this move called Judgment Day, which does 99,999 to everyone and just wipes you out.
Oh, that hurts. I just had a redo, I had a repeat, or I will have to repeat an hour lost in Final Fantasy Tactics the other day. And just the idea of that, it hurts. So half an hour is bad. That's happened a couple times.
Where are you in Tactics, by the way?
14 hours in, I'm fighting. We'll have talked about it on our brief intro before we get into this.
All right. Did you ever play 11 though? I mean, I know you said you loved 10, loved the hell out of it. It was the best. It's the best in the series to you. Did you go to the MMO, or have you, like many people, just sat that one out?
So I agree with many people there. I don't think that's a Final Fantasy game. As far as I'm concerned, a Final Fantasy game has to be single-player RPG. Ooh. But to be honest, the reason why I didn't play 11 was it cost way too much money to play for me at the time. Also, I was at a time where, the concept of having bought the game, you still have to pay more to play it each month. That was just abhorrent to me. I would be like, what the hell is this? Yeah. I'm not doing that.
I agree. It is a sick thing, especially when it's Elder Scrolls Online and it's a $50 game and you're paying $20 a month to play the goddamn thing. I'm like, jeez. Did it anyway, but not worth it.
FF11 at least as a whole is cheaper now. Not the monthly fee, obviously, but the actual game is cheap now. It's like $10, and you can get every expansion.
Yeah.
But
Unfortunately, now I have the
still
money,
have
but
that
not the
fee.
time to play
Oh, no one has the time.
MMOs.
No one has the time to play FF11, especially, but MMOs.
Yeah, if you're pounding through, you're looking at almost a month of just playtime.
Yeah, I actually haven't played any MMOs purely because initially it was the cost, but later on it was just the time. I just don't have the time to play such a time-intensive game. So I don't play that many games each year, and it's usually just some single-player RPGs most of the time. And occasionally I play Dota, but not so much these days.
Dota? Dota 2 or Dota?
Both. I play both, actually.
Nice. Old school Dota player. That's what I like to hear. People still remember. Never forget.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I have no respect for people who play League of Legends. That's just a simpler version of Dota.
I went to League of Legends, I'll be honest. And then I played that for a year and a half of intensive play. And
and we never got good enough to keep playing.
But I mean, we're talking to a Dota player. He has no respect for the time we put into that game. Look at that.
No respect for our feeding.
Well, look, I remember we started playing. You guys were playing League of Legends, and then I was like, guys, that's just Dota. I remember playing Dota a lot, and I was like, that's just a Dota copy. And I don't think you guys had heard of Dota at the time. And then later on, you guys finally got me to play the game, and then I got really into it. And then I put Warcraft 3 back in my computer and got the Dota patch. And then I realized that there was a lot of changes, and Dota is so much more brutal than League ever was. It is like a cartoony version and an easier version of the game. It's less forgiving.
Yeah.
And I've heard Dota 2 is a lot closer to the original.
Yeah, actually, Dota 2 initially was exactly the same as Dota. They just moved it across to a more user-friendly platform.
Okay.
There's been some changes since then, to make some quality of life changes. So it's different now, but when it just started, it was exactly the same.
I didn't know that. That means those towers are brutal, and the creeps are brutal, and everything is just rough. League is like the heroes are the only things that are really a problem in League. If you're fighting another team, the only thing that can kill you is the other team, basically, unless you're being stupid. Okay, so you didn't play 11. Did you play 12?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about 12.
I've played it twice, so recently just finished it again, the Zodiac Age version. But I played the original version when it came out. I mean, actually, I didn't care for it that much at the time because I think the plot in 12 was very weak. It felt like half a game in terms of the plot. So you get introduced to this really big world, but then your role in it is actually, I don't think it's that big. I mean, actually the bad guy's role is actually much bigger. The whole story about, freeing humanity from the gods, but you're just some punk who's, came along for the ride and just killed everybody.
Yeah, some last minute piece of shit that they added to appeal to the kids.
I sense some aggression coming from you, Schweiss. Did Zodiac Age help it age better for you?
The gameplay got better. The plot is still exactly the same. It's still not great. I appreciate the dialogue a little bit more now that I'm older. But yeah, it's a better game than the original. But I think unfortunately the weak point is still the plot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Times 4 speed.
The plot doesn't change.
So much better though.
Yeah, I can't play on Times 4 speed. I get a headache.
What?
It's too fast for me.
See, I just look at that and I'm like, well, that's not a game anymore. It's playing itself. Of course, the original played itself, just slower. With the Gambit system being as in depth as that was. But someday I'll play Zodiac Age and I'll have my own opinion. But for now, I get through these things one at a time. Okay. 13. You didn't play 14, is what I'm assuming. So,
Yep.
What did you think of 13? And if you played the rest of the 13 trilogy?
Yeah, I did. I played 13, 1, 2, and Lightning Returns.
Okay.
So, I really liked 13. I think in terms of spoilers, but in terms of ranking, 13 is actually quite high up there for me. I think.
Okay.
No, there was some small flaws, but I think overall it was actually a really good game in terms of 13. Although as far as the plot's concerned, I think the plot of 13 should have ended at 13, and they shouldn't have made 2 and Lightning Returns. Because, I just did not care, especially 13-2, I did not care for the plot at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have a lot of listeners that would disagree with that statement, for sure.
Yeah.
13-2, I kind of felt like it could have been any game. It didn't have to be 13's universe in order to have that plot. It could have had its own separate thing. It didn't have to affect the events of 13-1.
Yeah, I still think it's less confusing and overall more solid than 13. So.
Yeah, okay.
I agree. It could have been any game at any time, but I don't know. I like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like 13-2, the plot was just so depressing for me because you start off with, the whole world is going to shit, so you have to go out and save it. But except you don't. So near the end, I think right near the final dungeon, I was thinking to myself, I think this game is almost ending, but I don't think they're leaving themselves with enough time to actually save the world. I don't know what's going to happen. Then at the end of the game, it's like, oh, sorry, you kind of failed. Good luck to you. And it's like, clearly not a complete game by itself.
Okay. Yeah, I can see. I can see that criticism of the sequels. So 13, you actually really liked. I honestly really liked it the first time I played the game. Second time I played the game, I thought I saw more flaws in it than I had the first time, but I still enjoyed like the gameplay aspects of 13.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing for 13 is the first third of the game was not great. I mean, the first chapter, you can't even gain experience. So it's not even an RPG anymore. So I was playing, I was like, oh, I hope it's not like this for the rest of the game.
Right.
Because it wasn't great, actually. It was kind of boring, but the battle system actually does deepen quite a bit. So by the end, it was actually, not a bad game, I think. Although, if you look online, I think the hate for 13 was unparalleled until 15 came along. So it's not a well-liked game.
I still am confused on the dreaded hate of 13. It just seems a bit much. I do think that, I think there's problems with the storytelling, and I do think it's that beginning of the game, and I think that's about where people stop. I think people stop 20 hours in and don't finish.
Yeah.
And so their experience is kind of colored in that way, so they don't really get to explore the battle system fully, which is another problem with the game, is that the battle system doesn't open up until chapter 11 in the game. And but once it does, it's great. And so I think that may be like the biggest issue with 13, and it is a big issue, but I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets.
I agree too, but I also think that hate is probably what fueled the spinoffs of the 13 series to be such. I mean, they got the money they wanted out of it. They were experimental, but not that many people played them. Like 13-2 and Lightning Returns, like we look at the sales numbers, and it's like half. It's chunked in half.
It's
or a quarter.
It's 1/3 each time.
Yeah, 1/3 less each time. So like less than 1 million copies for Lightning Returns at one time, like near its initial release. That's crazy. Like for an FF game, God, there's like Dirge and shit that sold like crazy.
I bet 10-2 sold more than 13-2.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all.
I don't know, but I bet. Did you play 10-2 by any chance?
Yes, I have.
All right, tell us about that.
Close the door when I started playing it
because
I was like, what the hell's going on? And it was
no one's gonna see this.
Yeah, so it was very J-pop, and it was a lot of ass shots, which I did not need when I was playing an RPG, and I was hoping nobody would walk into my room actually, because it was the game overall actually wasn't bad, but the intro was just so horrible. It's I think someone described it to me as basically the game for fanboys of Final Fantasy in Japan, I think.
What confuses me is that it's so sexualized and yet so unapproachably girly at the same time. And so it just all the what is it, the Venn diagram? Just I'm out of it. I am way out of that thing. I hate that game. I hate that game. I think the gameplay is pretty good, but I know I will never play 10-2 again. Mark my words.
I've actually played 10-2 twice.
Oh!
So the original version and the international version, which wasn't available until the PS3 actually.
What'd you think of that one?
The international version?
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually added a whole new element to the game, which I don't think you guys really went into, which is the monster capture part of it.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it at all.
Yeah, it's actually great for completionists because you can train your monsters to be gods. They will kill the final boss in literally 5 seconds real time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so basically you just keep farming the Iron Dukes, and eventually your monsters will cap out in their stats, and they just hit like trucks. So it's actually and they also have quite a few new bosses in that mode, which you don't have in the original.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't. I didn't. Did you do the monster stuff at all, Schweiss?
I think there might be. Was there a trophy associated to it?
Yes, I think so.
You know what?
Did you platinum that game?
No, I didn't.
You didn't platinum that one.
I don't.
Disappointing, huh?
Think I did, dude. You don't understand. I have to 100% that goddamn game, and I can't skip any dialogue. Like, I have to sit down and admit that I am going to spend 40 plus hours on Final Fantasy X-2 again if I'm going to get the platinum.
Oh yeah, that is a game where you just have to follow the play guide. I've lost. There was this once. I think I lost like 6 hours of gameplay because I skipped one of the dialogues like half a second too fast, and it took me forever to find out where I lost that 0.2%.
Oh wow,
that would kill me. That would kill me inside. That's why I don't do that, man. That's why I don't want to restart anything. I don't want to. I can't go into that. Okay, all right. 15. Oh well, before we get to 15, because that's like the new one. Let's save that. What did you think about any other spin-offs that you played? Did you play Crisis Core or Dirge or
Tactics
or anything like that?
So I think out of the recent ones, I play Type 0 and World of Final Fantasy.
Did you like those?
They're okay.
They're okay.
I mean, they're not fantastic. Type 0 is actually quite different. And it actually, if you're not used to it, it actually potentially could be quite hard. So, because it's like a kind of a real-time action RPG almost.
Okay.
Whereas World of Final Fantasy is more old school turn-based RPG, but chibi. So I'm not sure if you would like that one, to be honest.
I already don't like the look of it, but I will give the game a chance at some point. Okay, did you play Crisis Core? Did you play the FF7 spin-offs?
No, because they weren't available on a console that I had. I think it was on the PSP or something, right. So I never played them. Okay. And I never played Tactics either. I mean, I never got really into it. I've played actually a lot of tactical RPGs in my time, but it's just not Tactics itself.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I hadn't played Tactics until right now. Okay, 15. You said there's a lot of hate for 15. Do you think it's deserved or not?
I think the criticism's deserved, but not the hate.
Okay.
It does have a lot of flaws. Like, I think the plot, like you said, the way it's told, I think there's a lot of holes in it, and you can tell that, you know, there are parts that it seems incomplete because I think they just didn't have enough time. But I don't think it deserves the hate that's gotten. You know, like people going, oh, you know, it could have this and this and this, and it doesn't, therefore I'm going to hate the game. I don't think that's a good way to judge it. I think you just look at it, at the game itself.
Thank you for saying that, James.
I don't think it's a bad game by any means. And I think in terms of the plot, you know, it was actually quite short, but it is a really good plot. I think it's a better plot than 12, for example.
Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you, at least. I don't know about Schweiss.
I don't really care. They both have kind of crappy plots.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love the character building in 15. I think the characters of the 4 main characters are great. And I love like the spine of the plot with him going to get Argus is that's really interesting to me. I do think there are holes in it from a narrative standpoint. There are scenes missing. And then, of course, for a gameplay standpoint, there is a section missing.
No, it's better.
But what the heck was that?
Oh, I don't know.
We just had a weird glitch.
I really like the last chapter because I think that chapter with, you know, the music and just the way it's done, it actually feels quite epic. You know, it's got the, you know, kind of almost Return of the King-esque style to it where, you know, he's returned, he's going to go off and he's going to finish his business. Mm-hmm. And he dies in the process. I thought the final chapter was really well done, even though it seems like you're missing, you know, 4 or 5 chapters before that.
The biggest problem for me is they don't say, hey, where have you been for 10 years? Like, there's no talking about that. They just go straight in. That drove me nuts. I don't know if they planned that scene, though. I have no idea if they did. But anyway, okay. So we got kind of your opinion on most of the main games. Give us your ranking of the Final Fantasy games, James.
Okay. So I think from the top to the bottom, it's 10, 6, 7, 13, 15, 12, 9, 5, 4, 8, 3.
Oh, wow. 8's way down there. All right.
Yeah.
I can accept 12 being
3 is
what it
unmemorable. So we kind of went through all the games, so we kind of understand it. You know, 10, you said it was great. It's your favorite Final Fantasy now. 6, you thought it was the best for a long time. You like the battle system. So why is 7 so high up there if you didn't finish the game?
It was a solid game. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. You know, the plot was not bad. The gameplay was not bad. The mini games were pretty good. I mean, all around, it was just a very solid game.
Very solid game. Okay, all right.
It's not my favorite, but it was definitely a solid game.
Yeah. And then 13, 15, and 12 are kind of in the middle there. And then 9, 5, 4, 8, and 3 are near the bottom. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for all that, James. Are you ready to play Stump the Host? Schweiss, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I have a series of 5 questions.
He didn't say if he was ready or not.
Oh, are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. Please, no questions on the MMOs because I will have to pass.
I don't have any on the MMOs. I do have some on some games that you might not like or have played.
There's a big blank spot in my mind where the MMO experience happened. I played it, did the review of it, and now have completely forgotten everything there.
You got blackout drunk right after the review.
That's right. Months of my experience are gone. So you're not missing. Even if he asked an MMO question, I think we would have about the same chance of answering it right.
Yeah. So the rules are we'll start with you, James, right? James.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I almost called you Reathomus again, but I'll resist. We'll start with you, and If you guess incorrectly, it'll go to Joe, and he can then steal your point. We have 5 total questions, so 5 possible points. Whoever has the most wins, and if I need to, I have a backup question on standby. First question is, what song did Titus famously plug during Yuna's pilgrimage? It was at one of the temples.
What song does he reference?
Yeah, what song does he reference, essentially?
Pop song. Famous pop song. I know this one, unfortunately, so I hope you get it, James.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I feel really ashamed. This is my favorite game, and I have no idea what song he referenced.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to have to pass.
Okay, it's the Macarena.
Yeah.
So he goes,
Actually, I remember that now.
Macarena Temple, and he goes, ah! That's what he does, which is hilarious to me. Okay, Schweiss, what's your question for me?
All right, what is the name of the main character in Vagrant's story? First and last name.
Oh, you're evil.
I know, I had to look this up. I didn't actually know this one.
Oh, thanks.
I think I knew the first name. I knew it was something along these lines.
You had to ask a question of that. He didn't say if he played Vagrant Story, and I definitely didn't say if I've never played Vagrant Story. No, I played like 2 hours worth of Vagrant Story. I have no idea. James, do you know who plays the main character in Vagrant Story? Or who is the main character?
I have played Vagrant Story. I know he has really funny hair. It's like this thing which pops out. Let me think. I think it was the first name start with the A. I think it was like Ashley something. I don't remember.
Yeah, the name is Ashley Riot.
Oh, okay, that's one for James.
Oh, that's close enough. Yeah.
Okay. So it's James' question now, right?
Yeah. What is the name of the hidden dungeon in Final Fantasy XII: Revenant Wings? This is a hidden dungeon that is seen throughout the series. Its name has been used multiple times.
I haven't played Revenant Wings, but if you say it's been used multiple times, Omega Ruins?
No, not Omega Ruins. It's a good guess, though.
Okay. I'm guessing, because I obviously didn't do any of the extra stuff in Revenant Wings, Crystal Palace.
No, it's Midlight's Deep, which is also a dungeon in
right.
Final Fantasy Tactics. And it might be in a couple others. I'm not 100% sure, but I know I've heard it before.
All right, so
All right.
neither of us got that.
No one gets that one. What is the name of Beatrix's sword in Final Fantasy IX, Joe?
Oh, I know that one.
This is also one that is seen throughout the series.
Shoot. Oh, what is her sword? I'm going to have to pass. I have no idea. And I was trying to think of sword names, and I just drew a blank.
It's either Save the Queen or God Save the Queen, I think.
Yeah, it's Save the Queen.
Oh, okay. Good job, James.
Yeah,
Dang it.
better with equipment names rather than pop song references, I think.
All right, last one goes to you, James. What is Bart's last name in Final Fantasy V? I think Joe knows this one, so... no, maybe not.
Does he?
Actually, I just came across this recently when I was playing World of Final Fantasy, but I'm going to have to pass.
All right. Joe, you got anything?
Dude, Bart's Lionheart. I have no idea, dude.
Nope, it is Bart's Klauser.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, extremely German last name for old Bart's.
Okay.
All right, so looks like James has this one at a 2-1 victory for James. Good job, man. Your Final Fantasy knowledge is quite unparalleled, but it's better than Joe's at least. So, so you have that.
Well, James, thanks for coming on. How did you find the show?
So I was bored one day, so I thought I'd listen to a podcast, but I didn't know what I wanted to listen to, so I basically searched Final Fantasy. And the first podcast I found wasn't great. I found it to be pretty boring. So rather than listening to FFU, I tried the other one called Ultimate Final Fantasy. First, the description was we're the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast, and I thought, typical Americans, pretty up themselves. But it turned out to be a very good podcast on Final Fantasy, and that's how I kept listening.
All right. Well, thank you for that, James. Thank you for the support. Is there anything you want to touch on before we end this? I know it's very late for you, and it's very early for us.
Not much. I think I just want to mention that, I think in terms of battle system, I actually like Lightning Returns the best. I think that's actually got the best final system in the whole series.
In the whole series, okay.
I said that about 13 too. And while I was playing Lightning Returns, I was like, this one might be at least as good, maybe better than 13 too. So I was like, why does no one talk about this game's battle system? It's fucking fun.
No one bought the game. That's why.
It's awesome.
Yeah, not many people played it, I think. Also, other aspects of the game is pretty trash.
The story is no, but I agree. Oh, also, I know you said you never finished FF7, but will you be getting the FF7 remake, and will you finish it in high def?
Yes,
if it ever comes out.
If it comes out.
10 years later, for a remake, by the way. Not even a new game.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm in the camp of not. I don't think there should have been a remake of FF7. They could have devoted their resources elsewhere. Don't really see a point to it, to be honest.
I 100% agree with you, James.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it's crazy because a lot of people are convinced they're doing it for the fans. I'm like, they were doing it for the paycheck, dude. Are you kidding me? They're a company.
Well, there definitely are a lot of people who want that game.
That is true.
There are more people who want that game in our audience than who don't want it.
Yeah. And some people were very direct about that fact on our old forums.
Well, James, thanks for coming on. I think this has been a very good interview. You never know who's going to be on the other side of these things. And James, you're very pleasant, and love talking Final Fantasy with you. So thank you.
Yeah, make sure you, I don't know, have you added me on PSN yet?
No, actually.
You should. I got to see, compare trophy penises. I'm sure I'm going to be very inadequate.
I don't have that many games, but I do have 13 or 14 platinums. Okay. Most of them are all of them are RPG games. Okay, so, I mean,
is impressive.
It's not impressive to some, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I have one platinum. One platinum.
FF15.
FF15.
The easiest one in the series so far, I would say.
Yeah, that one is kind of a disgrace as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it counts the same amount of points. The fishing trophy should be for every fish caught rather than just level 10. Oh, that's evil. Oh, that would be evil.
Yeah.
Did you catch every fish?
Yeah, I did. It's actually not that hard, so it just takes a little bit of time. And the Mogul Covenant food that you get actually makes it much easier because it increases the endurance of your fishing line by 20%. So it turns some of the harder fish really trivial.
You say a little time, but how big is your FF15 save file? How many hours?
It's really long, but I've also did some grinding for the best accessory in the game. So that involves finding that level 99 robot over and over and over again. So that takes a long, long time. So I think after 2 playthroughs, I think it was 150 hours.
Okay. That's about a half or a third longer than mine. Mine's 100, I think, right on the nose. So that's not...
That's about your FF10 save, right?
Yeah, I think overall for FF10's plat, because I missed one of those goddamn Albed spheres in home, the one place I could not miss it and get it later, because it fucking blows up. Spoilers. I had to start the game over and put another 15 hours, just no grind, pounding through the first like third of the game. It was pretty fast, but yeah, it was 145 hours for 10's plat, and that was in under 2 months. So that is disgusting. Like that. And you remember those days, Joe? I would just come over like with my TV and 10 and do nothing but fight the same guy over
Just
and
have
over.
a grind party.
Yeah.
Not in a fun way at all.
No, it sounds hot, but it's not.
Yeah, it actually didn't take me that long to get the platinum for 10. Although I had more practice with it. So there's certain things you can do in grinding which, makes it a lot quicker for you.
Yeah.
In terms of what enemies you fight.
Yeah, don't do luck spheres for everybody. What I did was I did luck spheres so that I could fight Yojimbo, right? The Dark Yojimbo, because you have to fight him 3 times in a row, so you can't Yojimbo accurately enough to like count on that to kill him. So I fought him legit, and the only way to really hit him is to have high enough luck. But what I ended up doing was I just kept the luck spheres, so I ground out everything on the sphere grid, and then I went to fight him, and then I fought Penance cheaply, and then ended it and quit. But what I should have done is just done luck spheres for the first 3 people, and then left and cleared those nodes and put in like some bullshit power node or something and shaved off like 10 hours of grind, 10, 15 hours by just filling
I
it with
actually
those.
did max luck sphere, then max fortune sphere for everybody. Then I followed up by doing HP sphere for the rest. So I had like 70,000 HP for everyone and 255 in each stat.
That is insane. I did not have 70,000 HP. And it took longer. That's sad.
Well,
Yeah, that was the 3rd time I did it by then, so I had some practice.
That was the same for me. I guess I didn't beat it the 2nd time. I got to Jekt and then I quit because I couldn't beat Jekt. I got there in like 20 hours or something ridiculously fast, and then I just could not do it. But yeah, like Joe said, it's been great having you on, man. Add me on PSN. My name is Schweiss1. So it's SCHWEISS and then the number 1. So all of you guys all of you listeners can add me if you want. I'm always looking to see the next disgusting trophy count and/or platinum count. So it's always fun to see people that put me to shame with that. So yeah, thank you.
Masochist.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I just like to see what I could be if I were better.
And it's cool knowing someone's listening from Hong Kong. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, with a slight Australian accent too.
That's right.
Very.
Yeah, and that is why I will never leave a review for you guys, because I neither want to hear your impression of Australian accent or your impression of a Hong Kong accent.
Yeah, the Australians sure do. Yeah, they don't love leaving reviews at all. So.
Yeah, it's because they sound British when we read them. That's a problem.
Right.
So we ruin it.
All right. Okay, James,
Right.
it's good talking to you, man.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to listening to New Clan as well.
Oh, thank you. You have a good night.
All right, thank you very much. Good night. Good morning.
Good morning.